How to prepare a word list for the GRE General Test. A thorough knowledge of vocabulary is essential for the verbal portion of the GRE General Test, so a word list is a very useful tool when preparing for this exam. Since GRE preparation is a time-bound task, reading thousands of pages to strengthen your performance on the test is impractical if you are only months away from taking the test. Here are some tips to deal with the word list in an effective manner. Steps. 1. Choose your GRE word list material. A good GRE word list is believed to be made up of 300 to 600 words. Before you start reading from the material you have chosen, verify its authenticity by surveying its reviews from internet sources or interviewing GRE test takers who scored high. The more words you learn, the greater the probability your exam success will increase. 2. Choose a reading domain. Reading the word list is the most convenient method to start with, and you can adjust your speed according to your ability. If you prefer reading from hard copy, then it is a good idea to create printouts, making sure that your material has a lot of space around each word. You may also want to make notes on many of the words. It is easy to remember words when you can attach screen clippings as pictures and recordable audio files to each word, so consider software like Microsoft OneNote for making your reading domain. In that case, create an editable soft copy of your material. 3. Start reading alphabetically. Alphabetical grouping is one among many ways of grouping the words. It is a good method to start with as it gives you a clear distinction to different but similar sounding words or words under same prefix, suffix. Initially, you may find the list difficult and lengthy, but it gets better with more revision and you will get better at it. 4. Learn the basic structure of a word. A word can be made up with a prefix, suffix, one or more roots, or a combination of those. Learn about common prefixes and suffixes. They can help you recognize if the word is a noun, verb, adjective, adverb. Try to recognize the root part of the word. The basic meaning of a word comes from the root. For example, incumbent, adjective, means lying upon something, obligatory. Break up the word into smaller parts, in plus cum plus ent. In means upon, on is a prefix, cum comes from Latin root cumbere, which means to recline, ent is a suffix, which makes the word likely to be an adjective or a noun. 5. Start making your own notes on words. The goal is to memorize a word with its meaning. Here are some ways you can master a word. Find the root of a word. Many English words are based upon Greek or Latin roots. Remembering a word by its root will not only make that word easy to memorize, but will also make other words with the same root understandable. For example, in the word incumbent, the root cumbere means to recline. If you remember the root cumbere, you may guess the meaning of words like recumbent, which means lying down or reclining. The best way to find out the root of a word is to search for it on any good online dictionary. It is a good idea to make a note of the root word with its meaning next to your word in the reading domain. You may find some sites and materials from the internet with ready-made lists of the same root words. Try associating audio visuals with words. 6. Unlike associating roots, this method is useful just for the one word, but is a very effective way of memorizing. You can take a great advantage of this method if your reading domain is a software which lets you insert screen clippings and audios next to a word, but even if you are reading in conventional ways, you can sketch out a small rough diagram next to a word or try to write a sound effect. The point of this method is to associate a sound or a picture with a word in your mind. It does not have to be perfect in your reading domain. For example, perpetual, meaning everlasting, can be associated with a screen clipping of a perpetual motion machine or a rough diagram of it next to the word. Many picture flashcard materials are available online, but those cards may not be customized as per your need, so if you plan to use them, make sure you don't spend a lot of time on the words you already know. Make mnemonics. This works fantastically for some words. Mnemonics means an aid for remembering. It can be silly, irrelevant, or very personalized, but it should serve the purpose of memorizing. For example, nascent, which means emerging, can be remembered as new soul scent. Abscond, which means to depart secretly and hide, can be remembered as absent in a second. You can use mnemonic websites to find ready-made mnemonics. If English is not your first language, try finding out sites which have mnemonics that you will find easiest to understand. This may broaden your mnemonic scope. 7. Shortlist the words after a while. After repeating the list for a couple of times, you will face difficulties memorizing only a certain number of words. It is a good idea to highlight them or distinguish them in some way, so next time when you revise the list, you can emphasize only those words, which will save you time. 8. Make different groups of words. After going through the word list alphabetically for a couple of times, you will be able to group words by their meaning, relevance to an object or similarly rhyming ends or beginnings, etc. For example, groups can be made of synonyms, for example, words related to literature, poetry, church, money, etc. Learning words by groups is a good way to memorize words the other way around, by associating each word with its meaning rather than associating each meaning with a word. One way to form such groups is to keep a symbol, for example, $for words related to money, in your mind, and whenever a word related to it appears, insert or write the symbol in its margin. By doing so, you can easily combine all the related words at the end. You can find such ready-made groups from the internet. 9. Group similar words together. The most confusing words are those which have similar spellings or pronunciations. It is a good idea, therefore, to group them together and be clear about their different meanings. For example, abate, abet, imminent, eminent, imminent, spire, aspire, conspire, inspire, perspire, respire, suspire, transpire. Some online dictionaries and some dictionary software allow you to find words starting with or ending with a particular word phrase or words that sound the same. 10. Review words with audio recordings. It is worth searching online for audio recordings of your word list. There is a great chance that someone has already recorded it. If you get them ready-made, you can download them in your mobile phone. If not, you can use your mobile phone for recording the words that you find difficult and hear them over and over again. This is a great way to revise your word list while physically doing other mandatory activities such as traveling, walking, exercising, cooking, eating, etc. At the same time, you can save the time you were supposed to spend upon vocabulary. 11. Make up verbal questions when reviewing words. The GRE exam does not test you on words and their meanings. Instead, they are presented in relationships linked by sentences or in some references. By practicing those kinds of questions, the kind that are asked in the GRE exam, you can strengthen your word power along with getting adapted to tricks for solving those questions. This technique is more beneficial if the word list has been revised at least a couple of times. 12. There is no shortcut to revision. The word list works on a simple principle. Out of sight, out of mind. It is very less probable that anyone will memorize the whole word list without missing a single word, but the goal is to minimize the percentage of forgotten words as much as possible. Your main weapon to fight an unknown question in verbal section is your word power. It is advisable to allot a considerable time to GRE preparation to the word list, but smart work can save you a big chunk of time. Regular repetitions and reflection for a little time after can strengthen your memory power for the word list.